if you're doing resins, I do these resin things, and you can do it cheap without spending a fortune on resin. This is a coffee cup. Inside, it's hollow. So you get your measuring cup, whatever you want. I poured, in this case, I put about a ½ inch of, this is just shaved Osage orange. Put the resin in, anchored the cup so it stays anchored. And then, once it sets the next day, then I would jam up whatever you're putting, whether it be wheat, I got one on the counter over there with beans, fill it with resin. So when I take this thing apart, I just pop this thing off. I just have a paper cup to turn off. Tear this off.
Wait a second, how are you going to get that refilled from Tim Hortons if you take the cup off?
Yeah, but you save 15 cents. Don't make a mistake. See, you never see my mistakes. This is the same thing. What I did was, I put sand in the cup. In theory, it makes sense. It holds the cup in while you're pouring the resin. Worked fine until had it all in it and I put it in a vacuum chuck. It foamed up like crazy. This cup floated 2 inches. The resin got into the sand. Sand and woodworking tools don't mix very well.
Well, the sandpaper does.
No, it knocks the shit out of the sandpaper. So the whole thing, and I said, and this thing is, it's hollow, and I said, there's issues, and it's not going to look good no matter what. So don't make that mistake that I did. So I wasted a little bit of resin. But you can save money on resin by doing that with a wooden blank, or air is easier. So I poured this morning. I'm surprised it hardened that fast. And I told you about turning green wood. This was green wood 3 days ago. Moisture 16, 17%. And for those that don't know, what I do is I turned it down, actually turned it down to this. Usually I go to 1 inch, but I tried to bring it down to this thickness. I did that, and the trick is you put it in water that night. Saturate it. So all the wood cells swell up with water. Now they're all equally wet. The next day, shake the water off. I put it in my electric oven. And you bake it for, I was at 175 degrees for about 3-4 hours, down to 0% moisture. And then if you have any warping or cracks, whatever, at that point you can salvage it, throw it away, or in this case, these cracks were here before I even baked it. And I just put turquoise in there, and I just put my final coat 10 minutes before you guys got here. I put my lacquer coat on it. It's got to be an electric oven, not gas. You can do a microwave oven if you live long enough. It takes forever. You put it in for 30-40 seconds. It gets really hot, could possibly crack. Possibly, I've heard of fires getting caught on the wood. So I don't use microwave. I got my commercial oven out there. I just bake it. And same. Oh, that was the other thing. This piece here was wet shavings from here. A lot of moisture in shavings. I didn't calculate that when I put the resin in, and that caused it to foam up more. So this one here, I baked the shavings, this is got all the moisture out of it down to zero. So that was another issue I had. Pearlam. You know what that is? That's that main beam in construction. It's really thick. I got some pieces over there by the box. But there's not a lot of strength to it. That's why this thing is thick, because it's all end grain. This thing can snap very easily. So when I had this on the lathe, I put this on my chuck, tailstock here, and it stabilized it. I mentioned that when you're making these things, you use the scrap piece to make your stand. The 4 corners, when you cut the rings, put it together and you have a matching stand that matches your bowl, rather than throwing it away. So you just find some sort of pattern that you can use the pieces and glue it together. So I'm going to cut this one. This is bamboo. I picked up this bamboo. It's 1 inch thick. I was showing some of the guys. It's a step I picked up at
Liquid Lumber.
Lumber Liquidators. You're close. Liquid Liquidators. Lumber Liquidators. I picked it up for 20 bucks. And it's all engineered bamboo. I made it 1 inch thick. Then I figured out I can do it even easier. You cut it in half. You have to cut it. If you're going to use a bandsaw, you have to cut it in half. So I had the piece here. I taped it together, marked all my rings. And then when you start to figure out what angle to cut it at, by taking these two rings, I made a line coming down, and then you measure a line from here to here, and that is your angle. This one here happens to be about 45 degrees. This one here would be about 25 degrees. I'll show you on the bandsaw. So by holding it here, at that angle, I touch the top line here and I'm touching the bottom here. So this would work out to 45 degrees. If it was a smaller piece, it might be at 25 degrees. I always glue all my pieces on both sides. You see people on, they'll just do a lot of glue on one side and hope the best that they match. I use excess glue, it oozes out, and all my joints are nice and tight. See, lots of good coverage. This thing will be set in a few minutes. So this will become a very tall bowl. This is all from one board. This is Capalta, is the wood.
Catalpa.
Catalpa? I've been saying Capalta. I googled it and it said Capalta. It says C-A-P-A-L-T-A.
Google's American, you know that.
I thought I had it right. Damn.
Did you see that reaction?
Here, I'm making a twist to it. I just twisted it over 1/4 inch so that the black walnut is stepping over. Now I end up with that pattern. It's not a very big pattern. I should have went over 2 dots or even more, and then you end up with more of a swoosh coming across. This one here.
Swoosh. What exactly is a swoosh?
Well, here's a wiggle.
I'm just kidding.
Here's a wiggle. I could have went a little more on that one too.
Like a Nike swoosh.
Nike swish.
Your wiggles and your swooshes.
Yeah.
Swoosh.
That's
These
a
are
swoosh.
technical terms. You should be writing
Yeah,
this
you
down.
may want to. There's going to be a test. But that's a very tall bowl. To put that on the lathe, you're asking for potential danger, right? So I would, in that case, I would use something like this inside. I need even bigger than this.
Paul, you're getting the 45 angle coming out because of the angle you cut it on the bandsaw. You can change that angle.
You're right. I could do more of a swoosh.
You can also do it, get it to come up this way.
Yeah. But I wanted to make it a simple demonstration for doing it. I'm not going to turn this one here, but I could turn one of these others.
Why not?
It's not glued together.
It's not glued and it won't be able to stay.
All you need is 15 minutes.
Well,
We'll watch. I got the camera ready.
What's that beer for?
You're laughing.
you're laughing.
Hold my beer.
What I would advise doing is that you put another block down here,
Big time.
glue it on the bottom, and use that for putting your dovetail joint on for turning.
Yep. Yeah, because you're going to have a hard time putting your chuck here, because this is sticking way. I would actually, I got a bigger one. I would put a bigger ring in here, Because you're right, you're going to end up hitting the motor and all that stuff.
Buy
Yeah.
the glue
Well, the glue I bought,
or the brush?
the roller.
Oh, the roller, okay.
The glue I got at Home Depot, and it's Type On 3 for
I use
$19 a gallon.
more different
Yeah, I ended up buying 2 gallons. I've already used 1 gallon.
more colors than his.
Yeah, in order to.
Yes.
You know, your problem, well, you need a hobby.
Yeah. And I don't.
I do. Now this piece I just glued, remember?
Did you mark it?
I don't have to because it's off center.
He told me to do that. And
It only fits one way.
And to use my solid, I cut a bigger piece, and I use that to put on the truck at the same time. A little while because I
I'm going to reset it to high.